expecting you. That's right, I've been expecting you. I know you don't believe that, but it's true. You see, this scene has been played before. I've seen it before. You and me here, meeting each other. You wonder why? I'll tell you. Because I have a time machine. That's right. I have a time machine. And with that time machine, I can travel into the future and see worlds that are quite distant or worlds that may never be. I can go into the past, back to the origins of time, back to our origins. Future or past, my time machine can visit any place or any time. There's a built-in error of about 1%, which doesn't amount to much if we go back 5 or 6 hours in time. A matter of a few seconds only. However, if we travel back several billions of years, as we may do from time to time, it can amount to many millions of years error. But still, in the vast track of time, that's not much. I want to take a trip today on the time machine, and I'd like you to come along with me. I think it'll be of interest to you. So why don't you come with me now, and we'll take a look at the past with my time machine. Welcome to the time machine. This is the control console. As you can see, there are an awful lot of switches here, and we wouldn't want any of them set off by accident. This is the magic window through which you'll be able to see everything that happens as we travel through time. I'll activate it in a moment. There are a number of things you need to be aware of as we travel through time. First of all, the machine requires a great deal of energy to travel back through the vast distances of time and space. It'll take a moment or two to set the machine up, so bear with me while we get started.
Initiated by Chicago Department of Environment in 2001, the Calumet Stewardship Initiative exists to better coordinate the educational and stewardship programs offered by all providers, including Illinois Department of Natural Resources, Chicago Park District, Cook County Forest Preserve District, and others.
It's probably about as close to a pre-settlement condition, which is kind of another iffy sort of a, doesn't mean anything specific, just some guideline basis we use to kind of evaluate things, than most of our preserves. So I came out here with a soil core that would go down about this deep and went up and down this ridge and took about 20 cores one day. And each and every core, when I got down below the disturbed surface here, remember this is the surface, it's been highly disturbed, is nothing but fine-grained sand with some, occasionally you get down far enough, some silt particles in it. So it's a wind-blown dune sitting on top of a shallow water, slow water deposit. So this is was in a very shallow lake, probably a very slow recession, and there was a time when these spits were forming off of Stony Island.
We did about a year of planning, or almost 2 years actually, of planning to design the site to say, okay, we have this beautiful open space. What do we want to do with it? Where do we want to have our trails? Where do we want people to come see the wetlands? Where are the nice places to look at historical areas from the site? So that took a couple years, and then we took it, and in January, Sean and his crew came on to start doing the physical work. And we'll talk a little bit about the open space reserve over there, but suffice to say, this is the first large-scale physical activity going on the city sites in the Calumet region, so it's good exciting. And we'll talk a little bit more about the restoration activities as we walk through. But just general housekeeping, letting you know, we're going to walk through and see the main route, hikes and trails, and then around 11 or 11:30. There's no washrooms on the site, so you do have to go to the washroom. Come up front or talk to one of us. We'll try and get you somewhere like Burger King or somewhere where you can use the restroom. There's always, the natural action as well. We have some water jugs. There's one here if you have a water bottle to fill up, but we have one also midway through the site. Several cups and water jugs if you get thirsty. And let's see here, bug spray and sunscreen. There are a lot of mosquitoes out here today, so we have a couple of things up here if you want to spray yourself real quick. Make sure you sign the sign-in sheet, and most importantly, talk to your neighbors as you hike through. There's a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds here.
But the rest of the takeaway is not new, and it doesn't have a trail system. So one of our goals is to put in a trail system. We'll be doing that Wildlife Service. We're not going to see them here, but, well, we will. There's a couple of huge cottonwoods, gigantic cottonwoods. Cottonwoods grow really fast. You know how growth rings on trees show you, how many years old they are? Cottonwoods, 1 year, growth rings hit me like 2 or 3 inches. They really grow fast. An oak tree the same size as a cottonwood.
And I'm the president of the Chicago Calumet Underground Railroad effort, and also the founder of Blacks in Green. And the particular history that Laurel is referring to is that, lo and behold, just on the other side of those woods was what is the previously Dutch-settled community of Riverdale. And on that Dutch-settled region there was this Janton farm, 50 acres right off the little Calumet River. And why does Seek Here care about that? Well, because as freedom seekers from the Southland, and I mean the way south, not just the Chicago Southland, but the south part of the United States, were fleeing from slavery, they came up through a course that engaged the Calumet on their way up to Detroit and Canada. And at the Janton farm on the little Calumet River, he and his wife and a colleague, Cornelius Kuiper, were unindicted co-conspirators in the bad behavior of aiding and abetting these fugitives. It was illegal. And not only was it illegal, but slave catchers would often come up from other states. Slave catchers could be deputized here in Illinois, and if you were free or if you were a slave, it didn't much matter if you were brown. You could be kidnapped or taken and what they call sold south. So the important story of the Underground Railroad is this American triumph. It was a coalition across racial, religious, and cultural bounds. And while the freedom seekers had to have the gumption to say, I'd rather die than be a slave, and while the freedom seekers also had networks of other African Americans in African-founded towns and other little maroon communities around the state, those freedom seekers also relied on their European cousins to provide safe havens and measured stops along the way. And so, fortunately for this area, we get to be the stewards of what was once the Tun family.
Between 1913 and 1915, industry across this country, and I say across the country, most of industry was on this side of the Mississippi River, heavy industry was on this side of the Mississippi. But during that 2-year period, industry experienced 400 to 1,200% turnover rate in 2 years. That meant that every time they got somebody in and got them halfway trained, they'd pack up and move. So a branch of the Commercial Club in Chicago, the same group that did the Burnham plan for Chicago, the plan of Chicago, a group called the Municipal Museum Association of Chicago, which Howard Shaw was a member of, put together a survey of industry workers across the country to find out why they were so transient. And the reason was quite simple: a lack of quality housing. You have to remember that that particular time in industry in this country, we didn't have a great housing stock. We didn't have great cities that addressed the housing needs. People weren't building their own homes. They would move in, come to the country, find a job, and then try to find a place to live. So they were living in tenements, which would be maybe a 300-square-foot room with a kitchen and a bathroom at the end of the hall, and you slept in the same room with your children, and you ate in the same room you slept in, and there was no entertainment centers. There were no televisions, and chances are you didn't even have a radio at that particular point in time. So as they defined the problems with housing, they also defined the solutions, and Howard Shaw was the architect of that plan. They realized that they needed 4, 5, 6, and 7-room homes. They realized that they needed what we take for granted today as modern conveniences back then. You needed central heat. You needed good light and ventilation. The houses were to be quality built materials. These are not frame houses. They're solid masonry houses. And if the gentleman on the porch would pick up that big cement block behind him, the red terracotta block, and put it right there on the porch, that's what Marktown homes are made out of. It's inspired to masonry materials. They wanted kitchens separate from everything else. They wanted a dining room that was separate in most cases, living room, separate sleeping accommodations for the children and the adults, and of course, that one thing that Pullman didn't have, full bathrooms. Pullman homes had water closets and sinks. And a commode, the bathing facilities were in the basement towards the plant. Marktown came with bathtubs. Guaranteed all of them came with bathtubs. The party wall between the two sides of the house is solid masonry. They're all cast concrete basements. The way they built the neighborhood was they drained the lake first, and then they excavated down to the basement grade. They poured the footers, they put in the concrete molds with 2x12s and 2x10s. They poured the concrete foundations with steam-generated concrete mixers. They stripped off the floors, they used them for the floor joists. They built up the entire masonry houses, roofed it, and put in the windows, and then the next year they came back and finished the houses with the spec building interior. All of the houses had solid maple floors. Howard Shaw was a premier architect in Chicago from 1893 to his death in 1926.
I'd like to welcome you and thank you for coming to our event this afternoon, and thank you for coming to the 10th Ward. You know, we talk about the city and the country being a melting pot, and I think we oftentimes think about it in terms of people. But sometimes we forget that we are a melting pot here in this city and this country based on our physical elements, our physical environment. And today we're here to talk about some of the improvements we're making to our physical environment, and that's our wetlands. I think all of you are here know the diversity we have in the 10th Ward, the residential, the industrial, the commercial, and the natural wetlands. And there's a need, there's a desire to not only enhance but create more wetlands to continue to further our beautiful environment here in the 10th Ward throughout the entire city and throughout the Calumet region. And we've got some great news to announce today that will allow us to further improve our environment. And here to announce that is someone who is very familiar, very progressive, and making our city better, and that's our Mayor, Richard M. Daley.
Thank you very much, Alderman John Polk. I want to thank John for his leadership here in the 10th Ward, his commitment of working with community groups, block clubs, organizations that are vitally concerned about the quality of life in the community and the entire city. And so I think that's very, very important. Today, we are pleased to announce that O'Hare Modernization Program, all the way up there on the northwest side of the city, is providing more than $2 million to help create 15 acres of new wetlands at the Heron Pond or the Hyde Lake wetland. These two city-owned sites are an important part of the Calumet Open Space Reserve that will ultimately restore and preserve more than 3,900 acres of wetlands and natural lands here in the city.
I think I met just about everybody in the room, but those who I have not met, my name is Marlo Colvin, State Representative from Chicago. My district literally is the southeast corner of the city of Chicago. Yeah, I represent communities that I know most of you who live in Chicago, from the Headwich area on the east side or what have you. It goes all the way over to Cottage Grove. But I border Indiana. I'm one of the few representatives in the General Assembly who have the privilege of bordering another state. And I don't mind admitting it. I come over here and buy gas all the time. I was at a gas station on Sheffield. It's an Amico station, not too far from here. And the guy pulled out his camera phone and he said, "I got to get a picture of this. We have these." So I was like, "Well, you know, the gas I pay for comes out of my family budget just like yours." And in this country right now, with the prices of gas and the price of transportation goes up, so does everything else. I've been in the General Assembly now for 7 years, since 2001, and it's been a great experience. And what it's really allowed me to do is get a chance to work with a lot of different people from all over the district, from all over the state, quite frankly, who are doing a lot of special things in our communities, of which is this organization right here. Through the efforts of people like Michael Booz and others, Mr. Ramirez, who reached out and invited me to be a part of the different efforts, whether they be environmental, whether it be social or healthcare, and had a chance to work with you guys and bring resources back to these communities. But as a politician, we don't get a chance to sit on a mountaintop somewhere and decide what's best for our communities. It works best when those who are doing special things in our community make us aware of them, and we get a chance to work with them. Mike and I were talking before the meeting started a couple of years ago when I first found out about your program here. had a chance to come over here and visit and some of the things that you do during the winter over at Wolf Lake and what have you. And I thought this was one of the organizations that deserved the type of support that we could bring back from Springfield. And so we helped them with a $25,000 grant so that they can expand some of their programs, making children more aware of what clean water is all about, dealing with the environment, and making sure that it's safe and available for everyone to enjoy. But again, as I close, I simply want to say that what you're going to see in Springfield, for those folks who are members of this organization or Southeast Environmental Task Force, we are becoming a greener society. Cars, buildings, homes, home building materials, all of these things are becoming more environmentally friendly. So the environment and the issue of the environment is going to become so much greater. We're already beginning to see. If you go on our website, the Illinois General Assembly website, you can simply type in www.ilga.gov and type in the search engine environment, and you'll see thousands of bills that are now being filed dealing with environmental issues. So this will be an excellent time, Mike and others, to start paying attention, monitoring those bills. Quite frankly, I have 100% environmental ratings from the Sierra Club of Illinois, and it's in no small part due to the people at the Southeast Environmental Task Force, people like you who made me aware of environmental issues that are important to you.
We have four main objectives. We want to inform you, we want to educate you, we want to make sure that you get the exposure that you need.
Homes Initiative is a citywide initiative to pull together different organizations that are interested in doing both green things to homes and healthy things to homes. So there are a lot of partners, including Parisian Associates, but our main goal is to get information out to residents about how to make their homes both green and healthy. There are a lot of health hazards that are present in homes, whether you're a homeowner or a renter, that families should know about because it affects the family health. It affects child welfare and adults in different ways. And so that's where the Green and Healthy Homes Initiative is coming from. There's so one of the things we're doing with the South Chicago Retrofit Project is providing information to families about some of the key areas that they should look for, or some of the key health hazards that might be present in their homes that maybe they should just be aware of, and seek additional assistance if they do suspect that maybe they have these things, such as lead poisoning in the paint in their homes or radon in their homes. And there's more information on the table behind, in between Angela and the person in the back. Yeah. Another thing we're trying to do is to let nationally people know what South Chicago is doing as far as being a green community and a healthy community. South Chicago is doing a lot of things, and so when we go, there's a conference, a national conference in Colorado, where we're going to be talking about a lot of things that Chicago's doing, but one of those featured projects is going to be the South Chicago Retrofit Project to get the word out that the community is doing really great work.
Well, I wanted to say real quickly that Chanel's being very modest about that program, and CNT, of course, and doing great work. They've been very instrumental in this community to helping people with their homes. I think they completed 20 to 30 homes in the Bush area, which really changed people's lives. So it's really important that we appreciate them being here and working with us in South Chicago and all the resources that they bring with them. And also the Green and Healthy Homes Initiative Committee that Chanel's referring to is bringing people from all over the city, led, department, CHA, key people together to talk about this important issue, which is the health of our families and our children and our community. So I really appreciate the work they're doing, and we're very honored to have them as partners in this project that we're working on. So real quickly, the South Chicago Retro, I'm looking at the food, I know everyone is too, so. So that's okay, I don't mind the distraction. So the retrofit project is a really great project that was envisioned by our Commissioner Suzanne Malik McKenna, which we know is not going to be there any longer with the city. And I just want to say, Kevin, that Mary Ellen did mention to Suzanne that at our last committee meeting, you called her a green angel. And that
Green goddess.
Green goddess, forgive me, thank you, Kevin, a green goddess, and she really appreciated that remark. But she's been very helpful to us, and we're truly sorry to see her leave that position. But we do want to say that with her vision of this program, it's a community engagement model. And what we're trying to do with the assistance of Spanish Coalition for Housing, and there's Rocio back there representing Spanish Coalition for Housing, we are working together to make sure that our community takes advantage of the resources that are here now, because we honestly don't know how much longer they will be here. Everything is on the chopping block. And of course, our community is skeptical of programs that might seem to come from the city or from providers that they're not familiar with. So that's why we're in a great position at Pollution Associates and all the work that our executive director, Angela Herlock, back there has done, as well as all of our partners who are different programs and our colleagues. We've been able to provide tax centers for the community. NCP, we've been able to be the lead of the NCP program here and bring resources and programs to the community. So people know that we're not going to set them up for something that's not going to help them. And so because of that position, we are really truly able to communicate to the community that these programs are important. I would love, I'm fortunate to live in one of our homes, so fortunately, my bills are low, which is helpful to my family. I have a big family, and it's really helpful to us to live in a home that's safe and warm and healthy, and we want that for all of our families in the community. So that is the gist of our program. This menu is a tool to show the community, no matter what type of housing you have, you may qualify for assistance to help your home and to help you and your family. So this is a little tool that we have back there. Please feel free, it's in English and Spanish, to share that with partners, and we can give that to you. We also have funding available. This funding is important because we are in transition. So it is important that we shine in South Chicago and that we show them that you give us the opportunity, we're gonna take it and we're gonna run with it. So please, please, please contact me if you're interested in funding. We have partners with the Field Museum. Jennifer Hirsch has graciously offered herself to help anyone that needs assistance through this process. We are here, we have this opportunity, we have these resources, we want to utilize them to the best. So thank you so much. If you have any questions, I'm here tonight. I'd love to answer them, and our tool will be up there. Thank you.
My name is Angela Herlock, and I'm the Executive Director of Parisian Associates. And we are one of the groups that work together for the Green Summit Month to facilitate a lot of things. And this year, we really wanted to focus locally, just local on just grassroots type of initiatives that were going on. So that's why our kickoff event, which is today, is actually here at the Garden. And so we had a special presentation that we wanted to give. And we're going to ask Kevin Murphy to do that presentation. You want me to hold your camera? Or no, you good?
Oh, no, I'm good. I'll use it for support. Am I on?
Yeah.
Okay. My wife Joanne and I are graduates of the first Chicago Conservation Corps class, which completed in 2006. Gregory was in the class right after us, and that's when we first met. And we've been working with Gregory on all sorts of projects over all that time. And what never ceases to amaze me is the fact that, first of all, he has fantastic ideas, and he can carry them out. But often when he carries them out, they depend upon other people's relinquishing property rights and things like that. And sometimes people very honestly have done things like give Gregory humongous amounts of space and then wound out they didn't own it themselves. And he's had many disappointments like that where some things didn't come off, and you'd think a lot of people would turn around, walk away, and say, that's it, I'm done with this kind of foolishness. But Gregory doesn't do that. He bounces back, comes up with another idea, another spot, and ends up feeding people again, and that's what he's about. And so we've done a lot of things over the years in terms of introducing a lot of people from downtown who've been important to the green movement and stuff. But this year, it's kind of nice to be in the neighborhood and to be able to present an award where it really belongs. It's my pleasure to give this award to Gregory for the 10th Ward 2014 Green Summit Community Partner Award, and it couldn't go to a more deserving person. Gregory.
All right. We're back to the starting point of our trip. Well, almost. It's about 30 minutes later. Have a good day, and come back soon to my time machine.